Well, hello everybody. Welcome along to Donington Park. We've got the opening round of the Focus Cup Championship coming up for you over the course of the next few moments. 15-minute race for them that kicks off their 2023 championship season. The first of two races today as well. Mark Werrell chatting to you now, joined in the commentary box by Piers Pryor for this one. Piers, something a little bit different, the Focus Cup.
Oh, the Focus Cup's quite a unique championship, but it's a great series. It's a great concept. The cars look great. They sound a bit different, but I'm sure we'll get onto that shortly.
Let's just guide you through the grid then, and the way that the grid works for this one. It is Ian Mitchell that starts there on the pole position, and it's the former champion Andy Godfrey that sits alongside. Row 2 of the grid is Sean Reynolds, who has got Simon Watts for company, and row 3 of the grid, that's where we see Morgan Jones, who has got Spencer Fortag sitting alongside. Row number 4 of the grid is Lewis Clark, and he's got Jonathan Ogden on row number 4. Row 5 is Greg Saunders and Jonathan Baker, who finished 4th in his championship, Jonathan Baker, last year, but only qualified 10th on the grid, so a bit of work to do there. Row 6 of the grid is Simon Waugh. He's been around this championship since the very first year, I think, Simon Waugh, and he's got number 13, which is Luke Scrubby for company. And then row 7 is Mark McCann and Ian Graham. The 8th row of the grid is Andrew Weiss, who's got Sarah Hall for company. And the final row of the grid is a family affair. Simon Walton, the man behind this series, lines up alongside Abby Walton, that sits alongside. And that's the way that they line up for the first Focus Cup Championship race of the season in these diesel engine cars.
Diesel engines, yes, of course. That is the one thing that is cool about these, is they are running the diesel version of the Ford Focus, and that is for a number of reasons. It is to of course keep the costs down. It is also, they're very torquey engines that plenty easy to get hold of, and it's a unique concept, but one that sort of stands it aside from a lot of its competitors.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that when they first introduced this championship, you would end up with a different car potentially at each round. Now, if you are in for the season, you get the choice as to whether you want to keep that car for the season or not, or chop and change. If you're a driver that's coming in and out of the championship, it may well be that you drive different cars each time, but they're all identical. They're all prepared by the same people, and therefore the racing over the last few years has been brilliant in the Focus Cup.
It really has, and we've had some notable drivers to pop in for certain rounds as well. I know Max Coates joined in for a round last season, and he's a TOCA grid driver, regular on that sort of side, and it shows how competitive the series is, that he didn't just jump in and walk it. He was absolutely in the middle of the fight. Yeah,
I mean, Andy Wilmot, another sort of touring car driver and raced TCR and things, he was the champion back in 2019 as well, but it was a close run thing. He didn't walk away with the championship because the likes of Russell Cager and Harry Munn weren't that far away either. So looking forward to this one, really looking forward to this one. It's all about sort of momentum and making sure, racing drivers like to rev the engines. You can't do that in the same degree because it's a diesel engine. It will drop off the torque band.
Yeah, I think apparently it's about 5k revs, which in a petrol car you're just about getting going by then. But in these you're moving on, and it is an interesting and unique sound. But again, a sort of a good championship in terms of budget. But it looks like we're on the grid and ready to get going for the first race of today and the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Ian Mitchell in the black car that sits there on pole position. It's the black and red car of Andy Godfrey, former champion from 2020, that sits alongside. Green flag at the back of the field. The revs begin to rise, red lights come on, and we're about to get this first 15-minute race of the season underway. Lights go out, and it's not a bad start from pole position from Ian Mitchell. Gary Mitchell finished runner-up in this championship a couple of seasons on the bounce, but it's Ian Mitchell that leads the way down towards Redgate Corner. Could Sean Reynolds in the wheel 777 car slot himself through into second and ahead of Andy Godfrey? Yes, he can by the look of things. So it's Ian Mitchell from Sean Reynolds. Then it's Andy Godfrey that sits there in third place, but he runs a little bit wide coming out of the corner and might actually lose a place too. Is that Morgan Jones? I think it is, that's going to sneak his way through.
Yeah, Morgan Jones in that silver and orange striped car that I believe, and he's unfortunately lost the place around the outside of the corner curves. Just not as much grip on the outside there, slotted back in, but it's very, very close all the way down the field as we see two cars going side by side on the exit of the old hairpin as well, all the way up now towards McLean's, and it's still a fight goes on with Morgan Jones.
Yeah, Morgan Jones, I think that's Simon Watts that sits behind, and Simon Watts then is coming under the cosh from Lewis Clark at the wheel of the 17 car, the silver car with the lighter blue stripes towards the tail end of it. So they're all safely through the first part of the lap. Ian Mitchell looking to try and break away from those behind. Now just see the tail enders coming round through McLean's corner and up towards Coppice. You can just see that little haze of particulate matter sitting in the air as down the straight they'll go. Ian Mitchell leading the way. Sean Reynolds right with him. Andy Godfrey is sitting there in third place. Then the slight gap back before we see Morgan Jones in fourth. And we're almost side by side for fifth and sixth, aren't we?
Yeah, Reynolds looking very racy, coming from third on the grid, now up to second and fighting for the lead within one lap. So he's had a great start. And and they've got Saunders there in the 34 car, AST sponsored car, catching the back of the number 4, which is of course Fortag in that very distinctive livery, black and sort of day-glow yellow pinstriped machine.
Yeah, Spencer Fortag, the former Caterham racer, slams the door into the face of Greg Saunders. He's not going to let Greg come through a Redgate corner, so the number 4 car hanging on to it. This is Morgan Jones in the 29 car, the silver car with the red stripes down the centre, trying to keep at bay the aspirations of Simon Watts. Now, Simon Watts finished the 6th in this championship last year. He was 5th a couple of years before that, so he's been around the Focus Cup for a while. He knows the cars well, but at the moment he is having to settle for 5th position as they start to build the momentum again and start to head up round through Schwantz Curve.
Yeah, there you go. That was Jones under pressure from Watts, who was having a look on the inside going into McLean's, but thought better of it. He's going to try and get a better exit out of the next corner up, the blind entry towards Coppice. The long run down towards the Roberts chicane is one of the main overtaking opportunities, as is into the first corner at Redgate.
So they flick their way through that section of the circuit. Speeds start to build again as they head down the straight and past the old exhibition centre. Look in the background at the squabble that's going on for 4th place. Morgan Jones being kept very, very busy still by Simon Watts, and Lewis Clark's not too far away at the wheel of the number 17 car. Spencer Fortag would love to join in at the moment in his black and day-glow car, but he's just a little bit further adrift, and of course he's the first car that's outside of the top 6 at the moment, so it's 2 for the lead. Then it's former champion Andy Godfrey on his own, and then 3 at the moment fighting over 4th, 5th and 6th, but shortly to be joined by the pack behind.
Yeah, still very, very close, all the way down to 8th place. Is 5 seconds down to 8th place, less than a second between all the top cars, and the lead gap is still less than half a second. Fastest lap on that last lap by only about a 10th is Mitchell in the lead of the race, but fastest sector 2 was actually Clark in 6th place, so that group is coming closer together.
A great little series this. We're talking about, it works well. It's the structure that they put together for it. So if you want to join the Focus Cup, it's they give you a price for the weekend, and that includes the Friday test and the car being transported to the race meeting and all of your fuel and the tyres for the car as well. So it's sort of a one-off fee. The only extra to pay for is a little bit of damage if you have any, but other than that, it's a fixed price for the weekend, including testing.
And also the first round of your first round of the season, whether that's the first round or if you join in halfway through the season, is also discounted to encourage people to get involved with the series. They really believe in the series and the way that it's run. It's very much a drive and drive focus. You can't run the car yourself. You have to come and join the central team, which means that everyone has the same car, the same opportunity to have a great race and the same opportunity to win. As we see those up at the front, the number 777 of Reynolds is still looking very, very racy, applying to the pressure in that green car to the Powerflex car, sort of the black and purple Powerflex car of Mitchell in the lead. As we see some more changing going down the field. That was that Watts?
That was Simon Watts getting overtaken by Lewis Clark. Yep, so Lewis Clark sneaks his way through. Now Simon Watts in the background is under the cosh from Spencer Fortag, who is bringing with him the next of the cars, which I think is Greg Saunders potentially. Greg Saunders looking for the inside line. No, yet again. Spencer Fortag sweeps across the nose of his car and says, no, thank you, that's not going to happen. For the lead of the race, we've got now Andy Godfrey wanting to try and join in the leading pair, because last time through, the 2020 champion Andy, who's a former mini challenge racer, set the fastest lap of the race we've seen so far, 1 minute 26.850. He's on his way, isn't he?
Absolutely. The gap between the top 3 is now just 0.6 of a second, but as you just mentioned, Godfrey with the fastest lap, about 4.5 tenths faster than the leader and 3 tenths faster than second place. That group is definitely coming together. As you see an issue there, the number 13, unfortunately, carrying some sort of bodywork rubbing on the tyres. That is scrubby towards the back of the field in that very, very crisp-looking Cartex sponsored light blue and white car.
The tyres scrubbing on Scrubby's car. Yeah, very apt indeed. Spencer Fortag, you can see, heading around through Coppice Corner, still busy trying to hang on to the place from Greg Saunders, and I think that's Simon Waugh that was sitting behind. But for the lead of the race, Andy Godfrey hasn't quite as yet caught the leading pair. I thought he might have done over the course of this lap. He still had another 6 tenths to try and close in. Still 3 cars also fighting over what is 4th, 5th and 6th position. And now we've had a change. Simon Waugh
very wide into the chicane there, carrying a lot of speed going into into the rubber chicane, which has compromised his exit quite considerably. And Fortag now looking around the outside, going into Redgate corner. It is a move that can be done around the outside there, although we've now got Saunders looking up the inside of both of them.
Yeah, here they comes. Greg Saunders is going to sneak his way through and ahead of Spencer Fortag, and he's going to get through and ahead of Simon Waugh as well. But no, then he runs wide, and they both go back through. Simon Waugh, that's a different car that he was testing in yesterday to his racing in today. They do bring a couple of spare cars in case there's an issue. Simon Waugh definitely a different car today than yesterday. Yeah,
clearly just found something he wasn't quite in tune with that other car. Of course, all these cars, as we've mentioned, centrally organised and brought to the circuit and everything like that. However, they all run, as you can see, different sponsorship liveries. Now, I think it looks great. With all these different major brands, the Power Max car there going through on Saunders after his mistake there. That is the number 11 of Ogden. Ogden is made up a place there on Saunders, who's had a bit of a torrid start. Well, I say it was a great start to the lap, and then it all came unravelled about 100 metres in.
Yeah. So the great thing is that most of these cars that have the sponsorship on, it's people that are involved in the championship. So it's the control parts that are supplied for the cars and those companies, and therefore that's why we start to see them liveried in the way that they are. You know, Powerflex because they supply the bushes to the car, Dereza because that's the tyre that they all run on. So it's a really, really unique way of delivering the championship. Safety devices because they provide all of the roll cages in the car as well, so it works.
It very much works, and also it gives us some excellent looking cars. And the one just coming up towards us now, the number 64 of McCann, of course, in oh no, it's pulling off actually. Oh, commentator's cursed there, unfortunately, but he was looking great on, unfortunately, dropping down the field now. Looks like he's got an issue, but that's sort of almost like a Ken Block tribute livery, and sort of the monster old Ford car. Great looking cars, all of them.
Yeah, so I think that might have been Abby Walton. She was certainly testing that car yesterday, Abby. So we'll have to wait and see. So down through the Craner curves they'll come. Morgan Jones still with his hands rather full. He's got the number 17 car of Lewis Clark right behind, but falling away now a little bit behind those two is Simon Watts. So Simon Watts, having been unpicked from his fourth place a few laps ago, is now looking as though he is struggling for pace a little bit. But we've now got two cars still busy beavering away. Morgan Jones has driven a busy old race so far. He's always had somebody right on his bumper.
Yes, Morgan Jones really likes to scrap clearly this way. As we look there, looking up the inside into Coppice, it's not normally a standard overtaking manoeuvre, but very, very bullish move, forcing Morgan Jones wide on the exit. Sent it up the inside, now blocking the inside. That's a very robust move, but good racing as we now see the orange and white car, number 30, is that 33 or
23?
23, my mistake. Yeah, Simon Watts trying to have a look through, and Morgan Jones has gone down 2 places in as many corners.
Yeah, so Lewis Clark and Simon Watts keeping up with the Joneses at this stage and managing to squeeze his way through. So 2 places lost there, and trying to fight back straight away is Morgan Jones. Weaves one way, weaves the other. Simon Watts needs to decide if he's going to defend. He can only change direction once in terms of defence, but he's going to take a nice wide sweep
Morgan
up towards Redgate. I thought he was going to be there. I thought he was going to be on his bumper there, Piers.
That was that. If there wasn't contact, that was as close as you'd like to get towards contact. Jones braked very, very late, but clearly Jones fast in and not so fast out, because now it looks like Watts is applying the pressure, or was applying the pressure, but it seems like maybe potentially missed a gear going down the Craner curves, because he's now under pressure from Morgan Jones again, who looks up the inside of the old hairpin side by side through there. They've both made it through there somehow unscathed and stayed on the circuit.
Well, they were side by side through Coppice Corner, which is not easy. Side by side through the old hairpin, and not once were they anywhere near making contact with each other. So good driving from both there.
Yes, they were very good driving. Guys, you can overtake into turn number 1. Redgate, as we get through a big entry oversteer there from Watts. We managed to salvage it on the exit somehow, but they are dropping off the back of the car in front now, just losing touch slightly with Clark in the number 17.
Yeah, a little bit of over-driving there, just costing them a little bit of time, so they start to build the speeds again as they come out of Coppice Corner and along the straight past the old exhibition centre in towards the braking area for the Roberts chicane, which is so easy to outbrake yourself heading in towards the Roberts chicane. And then you have sort of either straight line it, which means you cut the corners, are in danger of picking up a penalty. Almost clobbered the tyre stack on the inside there. That was close.
He did. He definitely clipped the tyre stack there. Morgan Jones pushing very hard as we see a little bit of debris on the circuit on the exit there. That's out of the way, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue, but getting as close to the tyres on the inside through the Roberts chicane is a good way of gaining lap time, but get too close and it's a good way of adding some toe outs at the front of your car.
Yes, I'm picking up a little bit of a damage bill by the end of the weekend. Jonathan Ogden just working his way through Redgate Corner. He's trying to close up onto the coattails of Spencer Fortag and that car of Simon War. So that's 7th, 8th and 9th positions just tumbling their way down through the Craner curves at the moment. We've only got 4 minutes of this race remaining. 7 laps have been completed by our race leader, but we had another new fastest lap of the race last time through. Car number 1, Andy Godfrey, 1 minute 26.590 means that he is closing up onto the coattails of the second place car of Sean Reynolds.
Still, for pretty much the whole race, we've had less than a second covering the top 3. As we see, we're just cutting away there, but here you go, here's the front 3. So now defending Mitchell, holding a middle of the road line going into the Robert chicane, clearly feeling under pressure from Reynolds and Godfrey. Godfrey's going to be licking his lips at this battle that's going on at the front. As he looks at the inside, no, not quite close enough this time. Reynolds in the dry line green car, number 777, standing out excellently on the circuit. But I think that Mitchell Powerflex car looks awesome as well. The liveries they make the championship just that much cooler, don't they?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, all the liveries look brilliant, and they've kept similar liveries for a few years now. A few tweaks to them and a few new ones have come in, but yeah, largely the liveries have always been similar because, of course, the supporters of this championship and the key suppliers of some of the control parts in this championship have remained the same, and consistency is what builds a momentum in a championship. Don't change things too much. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Yep. And the Focus Cup has always ticked lots of boxes for me. And
especially considering the grids. I mean, it's a good grid. 18 cars pretty much the first round of the season. Yep. It should potentially scheduled to grow as you always get drivers jumping in this championship because you have that allure of basically a one price for the weekend, assuming you have no damage, and also the fact that your first race weekend of the year is also slightly cheaper, and it truly is arrive and drive racing effectively as in its truest form.
Yeah, absolutely, and all identical. So it's all the 2-litre TDCi engine, so it's 135 brake horsepower, 250 pounds-feet of torque, 6-speed manual gearbox. In the pit lane, I'm afraid we've lost one. A rather smoky car heads in towards the pit lane, but the leaders in the meantime are heading in towards the braking area for the Robert chicane. And Andy Godfrey was compromised by a back marker there, didn't quite squeeze his way through, as they will head onto what will be the penultimate lap of the race this time through.
Yep, as we've got an absolutely enormous gap of 8/10 of a second between second and third place, as we see side by side for the lead now. Reynolds on the green car on the right hand side of your shot, looking for around the outside. Can he get the cut back on the exit? He's looking to get it. No, Mitchell is wise to that, so he's covering off the inside line. They'll probably end up going side by side down the Craner curves. Yes, they are. On the right you have Reynolds, on the left you have Mitchell. Who's going to come out on top here? But again, a lot of trust needed here. Reynolds looks like he's got it just about, although Mitchell's coming back at him into the old hairpin. Are they going to go side by side through here as well? All of the curb being used.
Yeah, just as they get towards Abby Walton, the back marker, so something's going to have to give here. Abby doesn't want to buy into this. She stays out of the way, and Andy Godfrey then doesn't lift off the throttle. He has extra momentum coming out of the corner, so it's 3 for the lead of the race, and Sean Reynolds has finally got the job done, and it looks as though we are just going to have Ian Mitchell cling on to second place despite the very best efforts of Andy Godfrey. They've still got another lap of this to try and sort out who's going to be on what step of the podium, but for the moment these three have got a huge gap of nearly 10 seconds between the car that's in 4th position.
Yep, 10 seconds back to Clark, the number 17 in 4th place. But this three are going to, I hope this three are going to keep this going right to the flag. I think this is going to be the penultimate lap. We're going to go over the line with just a few seconds to go. As we see now, Mitchell, who's in the lead at the start of this lap, is now under pressure for 3rd place. Can we? Oh, there's a big lunge from Godfrey in 3rd place. Mitchell are going wide of the apex to just stay out of the way, but that has broken them up just somewhat. And for the final lap of the race, if it stays like this, then well, this is the biggest gap we've had for the top 3 for the whole race.
Yeah, all being egged on by their respective pit crews and family and supporters from the pit wall there. So it is Sean Reynolds now. Sean Reynolds finished 5th in this championship last year, did Sean Reynolds, and is back for another go at it. He didn't claim a win in the championship in 2022, so could Sean Reynolds be on for his first win in the Focus Cup? Because I don't think he was present in the championship in the prior years as well, so he could be on for a debut win.
A debut win would be a great way to start the year, but if anyone's going to have anything to do about it, it is Mitchell in the Powerflex car in 2nd place. He has got an excellent run out of the old hairpin. He's applying pressure up towards McLean's. McLean's is a difficult overtaking opportunity. No, I thought he just had a look up the inside, but right on the bumper of Reynolds, trying to take the first win of the season. This could go right down to the wire. It's all about the exit out of Coppice now for Mitchell. Can he get a good exit and come alongside by the Roberts chicane, or will it be a race to the line? Looks like he's gone slow in. Will that mean fast out? The gap's opened up ever so slightly, so Reynolds has got a little bit of breathing room going down the exhibition straight into the last corner. Can he keep it in front? It looks like he can. Mitchell just showing in his mirrors. I think he's too far back to make a manoeuvre. So if all goes well, then that is Reynolds with the first win of the season and his first win in the Focus Cup.
Yeah, he finished second, he finished third, he finished fourth last year, but he didn't finish on the top step of the podium. He heads over the start-finish line, and Sean Reynolds wins his first win in the Focus Cup Championship, but chased all of the way to the line by Ian Mitchell in second place. And Andy Godfrey will finish in third position. Fourth place is going to be Lewis Clark in fourth place. Busy race for Morgan Jones, who'll come through in fifth position. And Simon Watts will finish in sixth place. Simon Waugh is through in seventh place. Jonathan Ogden should be through in eighth place. Spencer Fortag had a busy old race. He was there in ninth place in the end, completing the top 10. Another guy that had a busy race, that being Greg Saunders. Fastest lap of the race went to the car that finished in third place as well, which is Andy Godfrey. He posted a 1 minute 26.590 as the fastest lap of the race, and that means that he will pick up the additional 5 championship points that go with that as well. There's also points scored for qualifying as well, it's fair to say, and the points scored for qualifying are exactly the same points as you'd get for a race win. So 30 points for qualifying for Ian Mitchell for pole position, but 30 points for Sean Reynolds for winning the race. It's 30 for the win, 26 for second, 23rd for third, and so on. It diminishes down to a single point for 24th place. As we say, 5 points though for the fastest lap of the race is well worth having as well. So that is the first of our Focus Cup races done of the day. We've got another Focus Cup race coming up later on, but let's just confirm the results with you to start with. Sean Reynolds claims the win, his first in the Focus Cup, with Ian Mitchell in second place and Andy Godfrey in third. It was Lewis Clark who was there in fourth place, ahead of Morgan Jones in fifth place, and Simon Watts completes the top 6. Seventh place goes the way of Simon Waugh. Eighth place was Jonathan Ogden, and it was Spencer Fortag, and then the car of Greg Saunders that was in 10th position. Just outside of the top 10, Mark McCann was there in 11th place. It was Andrew Weiss who was there in 12th position, and then it was Jonathan Baker who was next up in 13th place, ahead of Luke Scrubby, and then the number 27 car of Ian Graham. The final 2 finishers being number 21 Sarah Hall and Simon Walton. Sarah Hall and Abby Walton. Simon Walton, sadly, we lost into the pit lane with problems. So that's it for the first of our Focus Cup races of the day. Focus Cup will be back out later on this afternoon, so please join us for that one. It's going to be around about 5:25 when we'll see them back out on circuit. But from everybody here at Donington Park and the whole of the Focus Cup Championship team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later on. Goodbye.
Oh, I'm out filming at the moment.